You guys, welcome to Audrey's reading area. Shout out to my grandbabies, Korea, Sana, David the Third, and Kaden. Love y'all. Love y'all. Alexa, what time is Audrey's reading area?
Audrey Reads in her area live at 5, and please subscribe.
Live. Live at 5, you guys. Live at 5. Please subscribe. Yes, don't forget, subscribe to Audrey's reading area on YouTube. Yeah, go there. Smash that subscribe button for me. All right. Yes. Don't forget to click like and share my videos too. Don't forget to tell everybody about it and listen, watch them. Yes. Watch them on YouTube. Yes. We are on Tuesday, Educational Tuesday. So I have a book that I'll be reading too. It's pretty interesting. It's called A Warmer World. A Warmer World. It says, from polar bears to butterflies. How climate change affects wildlife. I'm just going to jump right into this book. It's written by Caroline Arnold, illustrated by Jamie Hogan, and it is a scholastic book. Over the past several decades, our world has been warming at a faster rate than ever before. To survive in this new environment, animals everywhere have had to adapt or face extinction. A Warmer World offers young readers a clear-eyed look at the effects of climate change on animals around the world. hmm So let's just delve into this book, A Warmer World. See what it says. A Warmer World talks about in 1964, biologists working on the cloud forest of Costa Rica found a tiny toad whose bright yellow skin shone like a jewel. He named it the golden toad. Once a year, these toads came out of their burrows, mated, and laid eggs in small pools in the forest floor. After the eggs hatched, the tadpoles lived in the shallow waters as they grew into toads. In the spring of 1987, the weather was unusually warm and dry. The puddles dried up soon after the eggs hatched. By the next year, almost all the toads were gone. Since 1989, no one has seen golden toads anywhere. Golden toads need the mist of the cloud forest to keep their skin moist and rain pools to hatch their eggs. As Earth has warmed, the clouds in the mountains of Costa Rica have risen higher and higher. The climate is no longer suitable for golden toads and many other animals that once thrived in the cloud forest. Wow. Golden toads are one of the first known victims of climate change. Hmm. A changing climate. Earth's climate has been changing for billions of years, warming and cooling many times. Recently, it has been growing warmer at a faster rate than ever before. Winters are shorter, springs are earlier, and summers are hotter. In the last century, the average world temperature has risen more than 1 degree Fahrenheit. This may not seem like much, but a little change can make a big difference. Wow. Climate is the average weather in a particular place measured over time. Weather is the state of the atmosphere around us at a particular place and time. In other words, climate is what you expect, for example, a wet spring, and weather is what you get, for example, a thunderstorm. As the world has warmed, scientists have noticed many changes. Polar sea ice is shrinking and growing thinner, sea levels are rising, and patterns of rainfall are changing. Animals have responded to these changes as they search for food, shelter, and other things they need to live. In some cases, animals can adapt to new conditions. In others, their lives are threatened as their environment changes. Polar bear. Wildlife in a warmer world. As world temperatures rise, places that were once cool become warmer. Plants and animals can now live in places that were once too cold for them. Arctic fox, red fox. Foxes. I actually have a fox somewhere. Red foxes are found throughout most of the northern hemisphere. From the Arctic Circle to Central America and North America, they live mainly in forests and brushlands where they eat a wide range of prey and plant food. Arctic foxes are short, compact, densely furred animals that thrive in some of the coldest places on Earth. Wow. They are found mainly in the treeless regions of the Arctic. These foxes hunt birds and small mammals, and they scavenge carcasses of animals killed by larger predators. As Earth's climate has warmed, trees and brush have begun to grow in areas of the Arctic that were once too cold for these plants. So red foxes have expanded their territory into places normally used by the smaller Arctic foxes. The Arctic foxes now have to compete with red foxes for available food. Escaping the heat. As the world gets warmer, some places are becoming too hot for the plants and animals that live there. Too hot. Animals can walk, fly, or swim to find a new place to live. Plants cannot move, but their seeds are carried to new locations by wind, water, and sometimes animals. If conditions are suitable, the seeds may grow into new plants. Edith's checker spot butterfly. I got my little butterfly up there. Edith's checker spot is a small butterfly found in fields, open woods, and mountain meadows of western North America. In spring and summer, females lay their eggs on the leaves of wild plants. When the eggs hatch, the caterpillars eat the leaves and flowers. In the southern and middle part of the butterfly's range, the climate has become too warm for the plants they prefer. Edith's checker spot butterflies are disappearing from the Mexico-California border because they can no longer find food there. Wow. While the number of butterflies is growing in British Columbia, Canada, which used to be too cold for the plants the butterflies needed, Edith's checker spots are also moving up mountain slopes, where warmer temperatures make it possible for the plants they prefer to grow at higher elevations. The butterflies are now found at elevations that average 300 feet higher than they were 100 years ago. Wow. Wow. Higher and cooler. As you climb up a mountain, the air becomes cooler. Each level on the mountain has its own life zone with specific kinds of plant and animal communities. As global temperatures rise, plants and animals in lower life zones may move to higher elevations. Species that live at the highest life zones have nowhere to go to find cooler temperatures. Squirrels and mice. In the early 1900s, biologist Jim Grinnell observed small mammals in and around California's Yosemite National Park. Recently, when scientists looked at the same species, they discovered that many of them had moved to higher elevations. The golden mantled ground squirrel now lives above 500 feet higher than before. For the first time, pinyon mice and pocket mice live within the park, whereas Grinnell had only found them at lower elevations. In each case, a warmer climate has made it possible for the animals to move to higher habitats. Pocket mouse, pinyon mouse, golden mantled ground squirrel. I didn't know there was a difference between mouse and mice. Okay? We're learning. I'm learning with you. Disappearing ice. Disappearing ice. As Earth warms, the most dramatic changes are occurring in polar regions. The North Pole is in the middle of the Arctic Ocean, which is covered by a vast sheet of ice. In summer, some of the ice melts. In winter, it freezes again. The South Pole is in the center of Antarctica, a continent covered with large sheets of ice. These polar areas are warming faster than any other part of the world. The light color of the ice and snow reflects the sun's heat back into the atmosphere, while the dark color of land and open water absorb the sun's heat. As it melts, more water inland is exposed, and the temperature increases even faster than before. Scientists worry because the North Pole's ice cap has shrunk 20% in the size since 1979. Many scientists predict that the Arctic Ocean will be ice free in summer by 2030 or even sooner. Wow. Scientists also worry that the Antarctic ice sheets might collapse. The collapse of the West Antarctic ice sheet could raise sea levels by as much as 19 feet. Warm ocean water has already caused huge ice shelves around the edge of the continent to break up. Polar animals depend on ice, and as the ice disappears, their lives are threatened. Polar bears, my buddy. Polar bears are perfectly adapted to life in the Arctic. Compact bodies, dense fur coats, and a thick layer of fat helps them keep warm, and their huge feet are good for swimming and walking across snow and ice. All winter long, polar bears prowl the ice in search of seals, walruses, and other marine animals. When the ice melts in spring, the polar bears go on shore. They live on their stored fat and do not hunt again until the ocean freezes in fall and they can go back on the ice. Now that the sea ice in the Arctic is freezing later each fall and melting earlier in the spring, polar bears have less time to hunt and build up fat for the summer. They are now thinner and less healthy than they were 20 years ago, and females are giving birth to fewer cubs. Walruses. In summer, when ice melts along the Arctic coast, walruses feed on clams and crabs in the shallow water. Large chunks of ice float like islands along the shore. The walruses use this sea ice, as a resting platform, pulling themselves up with their long tusks. Pups wait on the ice while their mothers dive for food. As more sea ice melts, these islands become fewer and farther from shore, and there are no platforms in shallow water for mothers and their pups. The pups often become separated from their mothers. They cannot survive on their own. Oh. Penguins. As the world's climate warms, the population of penguins in Antarctica and nearby islands is changing. On the Antarctic Peninsula, once home to vast colonies of Adelie penguins, melting ice has destroyed their nests and reduced sources of food. In the last 25 years, the population has shrunk from 40,000 to fewer than 6,000 birds. Wow. On the other hand, Gentoo penguins, which previously found the Antarctic Peninsula too cold, have begun to move in. Now more than 2,000 pairs of Gentoos nest where the Adelies once lived. Gentoo penguin. Adelie penguin. Krill. Krill are small, shrimp-like animals. They feed on algae, small organisms that often grow on the underside of sea ice. As temperatures rise in Antarctica, areas of sea ice have grown smaller. With less ice, there are fewer algae for the krill to feed on, so there are fewer krill. Krill is a food source for whales, seals, penguins, seabirds, squid, and fish. Without enough krill, these animals cannot live. Changing seasons. In a warmer world, the higher temperatures of spring come earlier, and the cooler temperatures of fall begin later. Patterns of rainfall and drought also change. These shifts have affected the many ways animals migrate, lay eggs, hibernate, and find food. Yellow-bellied marmots. Marmots are large rodents often found in mountain habitats. They spend the summer eating and the winter hibernating in their burrows. Scientists studying yellow-bellied marmots in the Rocky Mountains in Colorado have found that warmer winters make the marmots wake up earlier in the spring. 40 years ago, marmots typically hibernated until May. Since then, the average temperatures in the areas have gone up by 2.5 degrees Fahrenheit. Now, the marmots wake up in April. They wake up in April now. They'll be up next month. I'm just saying. But they cannot find the plants they normally eat. The plants will not begin to grow until the days become longer and they get more sunlight. Many marmots have starved. Warmer water. We got the brain coral, we got the staghorn coral, and we got the red coral, we got the plate coral, and we have the ocular coral. Warmer water. Water-dwelling plants and animals have also been impacted by climate change. Water in the world's oceans, lakes, and rivers is growing warmer, affecting corals, fish, and many other species. Coral reefs. Coral reefs protect shorelines from erosion by ocean waves, provide habitats and shelter for many species, and are a source of important nutrients in the food chain. Corals are extremely sensitive and can be killed if the surrounding water becomes too cold or too hot, even by only a few degrees. When corals die, the colors disappear from their outer skeletons and leave them white or bleached. The bleached coral can recover, but only if the water temperature returns to normal and the algae that coexists with the coral can grow again. Coral bleaching events have occurred more often and to a greater extent in the past 20 years than before. Global climate change may be playing a role in this increase, contributing to the destruction of major reefs and extinction of many coral species. Fish. Fish in oceans and lakes are sensitive to water temperatures. Fish such as trout and salmon prefer cool water and thrive in streams with temperatures of 50 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit. In many areas, the fish are already living at the upper end of their temperature range, so even a small amount of warming can make streams uninhabitable. Scientists predict that trout and salmon may disappear from as much as a third of their current habitat by the year 2090 due to global warming. On the other hand, some fish such as largemouth bass and carp, which do well in warm water, could expand their ranges through the United States and Canada. If the water surface temperature goes up by 4 degrees, they could live 400 miles further north than they do now. Raising sea levels. As land-based ice in polar regions melts, water flows into the seas and makes the ocean higher. Sea levels are also rising because when water heats up, it expands and takes up more space. I'm sorry, I thought when water freezes, it expands. Okay. Over the last 100 years, the world's sea level has risen about 6 to 8 inches. By 2100, it is expected to go up 3 more feet. Loggerhead turtles. After mating in the sea, a female loggerhead turtle crawls up the beach to dig a hole in the sand and lay her eggs. 6 to 13 weeks later, the eggs hatch. With rising sea levels, the turtle's beach nesting sites may be washed away by higher tides. Warmer temperatures are already changing the time of turtle nesting.
It's 6 o'clock.
See this right here? Turtle nesting. Loggerhead turtles now lay their eggs about 10 days earlier than they did 15 years ago. With turtles, the temperature of the egg in the nest determines whether the hatchlings are male or female. When the eggs are kept above 86 degrees Fahrenheit, most of the turtles inside grow to be females. When the eggs are kept below that temperature, the turtles become males. With rising temperatures, more females than males are being born. Without enough males, it will be harder for female turtles to find mates. A future warmer world. A future warmer world. Hundreds of species have already been affected by rising world temperatures. These animals, from tiny frogs and butterflies to polar bears and whales, show us how even small changes in temperature can produce big changes in lifestyle. Some scientists estimate that 1 million species are threatened with extinction because of climate change. The world has warmed many times before. This time, however, it is warming so quickly that scientists worry plants and animals will not have time to adapt. If this happens, the loss in biodiversity could be devastating. Pollutants in Earth's atmosphere that trap the sun's heat have accelerated the pace of global warming. Learning how to control pollution can help us slow the rate of climate change, giving people and wildlife more time to adapt. Global warming will continue to change the world in which we live. By learning how plants and animals are responding to these changes, we can better understand what to expect in a future warmer world. Okay, we have a glossary. I guess that's the end of the book. We talked about algae, Arctic Circle, so you can pause and read in the glossary. And for more information, you can pause and read. And that is the end. It says the illustrations were done in charcoal pencil and pastel on sandpaper with elements of collage paper and tags. Nice. Wow. A warmer world. From polar bears to butterflies, how climate change affects wildlife. I hope you enjoyed. All right. Thanks, Mom, for being here. As always, thank you. And thank you, Miss Victoria, for sharing my videos all the time. Won't you all share this too? Share, click like. Yes, go to YouTube. Look for Audrey's Reading Area. Yeah, and then smash that subscribe button for me. All right. I'll see you tomorrow, right? You'll be here, won't you? Won't you be here tomorrow? Here at Audrey's Reading Area.